Alex was left speechless as he was fastened into the back of the car, a position that unknown to him he would become accustomed to in the not-so-distant future. He thought about protesting but knew that if he caused any trouble, his mum would find out. While everything was going on, there was still one thing in the back of his mind. His mum had made the arrangements and he could never bring himself to upset her in any way. He sat quietly in the back of the car listening to some music playing, whilst up front Wendy sat chatting with Val. He couldn't make out what they were talking about, but occasionally thought he heard his name being mentioned. It was only a short ride before they pulled up outside a large house at the end of a road, just off the main seafront, but looking out over a beach that appeared quite secluded. Val and Wendy climbed out of the car. Before Val came around to his door and opened it, he had tried himself but found the child lock in place on the door. He had to wait for Val to release his harness. It fastened in a way that made it impossible for him to reach the locking point. She went to release him but not before looking down at his shorts. Unknown to him they had ridden up enough so that the edge of his pull-up was now showing. "Come on, sweetie," said Val, releasing him from the seat. "Let's get you inside and settled down. I am sure that you could do with a bath and a change out of those." The last part was said as she had her hand on his pull-up, rubbing the edge of it. He went to the back of the car to collect his case, but not knowing what little surprises his mum had packed in there for him. His usual underwear had been replaced with much thicker terry cotton pants, ones that would be better described as a pair of training panties for toddlers. Then there was the usual pull-up which he wore for sleeping in at night, but the special surprise was the cloth nappy and plastic pants she put in there, one just like those he had been viewing online. They made their way into the house. Alex was impressed with what he saw. Very large hallway, very well furnished but all looking slightly feminine, but at the same time very homely. From his position in the large waiting area, he could see out over the sea. The beach looked very private but that was perfectly okay with him. Wendy had already gone up her room by the time Val had collected Alex's room key. "Come along, Alex, let's go find your room. I am sure you will. It is right next to mine, so I can keep an eye on you like I promised your mum." They made their way up the first flight of stairs, then along a corridor after going through a door marked private. "It's okay, Alex," said Val. "I just wanted to make sure that you get some nice peace and quiet. Sometimes the guests can be a bit noisy." Finally they reached a door marked with a little sign saying Alex, which was a bit of a shock to him. He hadn't realized how much trouble Val had gone through. The door was unlocked by Val and Alex was greeted by daylight once again. Before him stood a vast room, with a large double bed against one wall. Directly opposite was a large TV mounted to the wall, then a dresser with plenty of drawers for his clothes. There was also a large dressing table with its own chair, but to his surprise in the corner a desk with a laptop computer on it. "That was a present from your mum for doing so well at school," said Val as she saw him looking at it. "Through that door over there is your own private bathroom. The other door leads to my room but it is locked, so don't worry about that. The last door over there is the walk-in wardrobe, but I think the dresser will be okay for your things. So let's get you unpacked, then you can have that nice warm bath that we both know you need." Unaware of its contents, Alex lifted up his case onto the bed, but as it landed he thought he heard something rustling. Val came over to him, putting her arm around him. "That noise is only the protective mattress cover I put on the bed for you. Your mum did tell you that she told me about your little problem and the last thing we want is for your bed to get wet. We can deal with a wet sheet or two but not a wet mattress." He did remember what his mum had told him, so in all fairness it was to be expected, but it was just the shock of it. He just looked at Val and smiled. He started to open the case, then once open he undid the luggage straps inside it, removing the towel off the top. Directly underneath were his pull-ups, all laying next to each other, which Val picked up and then walked over to the dresser with before laying them in one of the drawers, next to more pink ones which she already had prepared. He removed his t-shirts himself only to find the new underwear selection his mum had packed for him. At first he was unsure what they were, but having given the shirts to Val he quickly picked a pair up, only now understanding what they were. He had seen them on some of the sites he looked at but never imagined he would have some himself, especially not so many. Val came back over to him, looking at what he was holding. "Oh my, aren't they the cutest little panties ever, so thick and sensible for a sweet boy like you. We will have to take care washing these, we don't want them losing all that puffiness, do we?" With that, Val took them from him and then places them in the dresser, the next drawer down from his pull-ups. Alex then removed the next layer, which contained some jeans and some more shorts, only to finally reveal the final surprise from his mother. There in plain view was the thickest terry cotton nappy he had seen, resting next to a pair of pale pink plastic panties that were covered in see-through organza, with fine lace edging. For Alex, he could see straight away what they were. It was something he had looked at so many times before, something he always wanted to try but never had. He was stuck in a trance until Val rested her hand on his, before looking at him, waiting to see if he would say anything. A few moments later, with Alex still quiet, Val picked up the nappy and pants, removed it from the case and placed it on his bed next to the pillow. She closed the case, put it under the bed, then looked at him. "Now you get undressed, I will go and run the bath. We can discuss the nappy later. There must be a good reason that your mum put it in there."